Okay, so today I'm going to be explaining the purposes of performing a static brake test, a low air pressure warning test, and a spring brake test. So, to perform a static brake test, the first thing that we need to have is 125 psi. We do not have 125 psi, so we're going to perform a safe start to rebuild the air pressure. To do that, we're going to put the key on ACC, put it back on run. All of the gauges turn on, all the gauges will turn off, and then once you hear that beep, you can start your bus. Now we're going to give gas and bring the RPM up to 20 to speed up the air gauges refilling. So if, as you see, the needles for the air gauges are not moving, what you're going to do is you're going to pump the brakes hard 2 times. It's 1, 2. That means that there's a blockage in the system and you need to clear it. So now we're going to give gas, bring the RPM back up to 20, and as you can see, the gauges are refilling fast. Once you hear the tss sound, it's full. Okay, so now we're going to turn our bus off, put it back in the run position. Alright, so when performing a static brake test, the purpose of performing it is to put your foot on the brake and hold it down. By doing this, you're applying pressure into both the front and the back air brake systems. And now you're going to hold your foot down for 60 seconds and watch both gauges to see if you lose any air pressure. If you do, then that means that there's a leak inside the system. So that's the purpose of checking and performing a static brake test. So continuing, after the 1 minute is passed, you would then, as you saw in the other video, say that I have no air leaks. I didn't lose any air, more than 3 psi in 1 minute, I mean. So I have no air leaks. So next is the low air pressure warning test. So when you're performing the low air pressure warning test, you're pumping your brakes down to 60 psi. And then once you reach 60 psi, the wig-wag will fall, the alarm will sound, and the red lights will come on the dashboard. So what's the purpose of that? So let's say that you're driving, and then there's a big air leak inside either the front or the rear, air brake system. The wig-wag dropping, the alarm sounding, and the red lights coming on the dashboard is your warning to tell you that there is a big air leak inside the system. If when you see the wig-wag drop while you're driving, and then you look down and you see that one of the air pressures or both of them is below 60, that is your warning sign to pull over as soon as you can. Because if you don't, so now I'm going to pump the brakes. Have the wig-wag fall, the alarm sound, and the brake air light came on the dashboard. So if at this point all of this is going on while you're driving and you ignore it, now we're going to push in the parking brake and we're going to continue pumping our brakes down to 30 psi. This is where the spring brake test is. So at 30 psi, the parking brake is going to pop out. So let's do that, and then I'll explain what exactly is happening. Okay, as you can see, the parking brake just popped out at 30 psi. So, now, why did that happen? As I was explaining with the low air pressure warning test, once the wig-wag drops, the alarm sounds, the air brakes, light comes on at 60 psi. If you choose to ignore it and you don't pull over, once the air pressure drops to 30 psi, the spring brakes are going to engage. And when they engage, regardless of what speed you're going to, the bus is going to come to a stop very suddenly. So if, let's just say you're driving, 40, 50 miles per hour, and then those spring brakes engage, if you have children, students on the bus with you, they're going to go flying. It's going to be very dangerous and chaotic. So that's why it's important for you to understand what a static brake test is, what a low air pressure warning test is, and what a spring brake test is, and to perform them to make sure that they're working. Okay, and that concludes